You don't look like an idiot when you're out here in your pants, do you?
You roll with the punches. It was like, if it's cold, we'll do cold. If the sun decides to bless us with its presence, we'll just do sunbathing. It is baking.
It is wonderful, mate.
I'm going to say this is the warmest cold water that we've done.
One of the really beneficial practices that I've certainly found is Jacko's been guiding me through some of the tools to get you into a sort of readiness state to then go into the water, but maybe you can sort of expand on that a little bit.
Well, I guess you were doing the cold. I remember it would have been like 2019, November or October 2019, and like I went in and it probably can't have been that cold then, but it felt awful. It took me all day to get warm afterwards. But one of the things that you notice that you do when you go into the cold is that you automatically, like you intuitively know, to calm myself down, I've got to do something about my breathing. And when we know we've got to calm ourselves down and do something about breathing, we start to just try and slow our breathing down to try and compose ourselves so that we can sort of get through this decision. You've decided to go into the cold, which is ultimately like a stress on the body, but that's what we're trying to get ourselves better used to, adapting to stress. So rather than when stress from the outside world hits you and you got to like try and deal with it, we're making a conscious decision to we like it, but at the same time we don't. Like it's uncomfortable when you go into a cold lake or a cold bath or a cold shower, and so we've got some friends in there as well. But choosing to go and do something that's going to make you feel uncomfortable, that's going to stress the body, and then using our breathing to be able to help regulate that gives us some tools when we're not in that environment to be able to do that. And the breath practice we started to do beforehand is about trying to get us ready for that sympathetic tone that is going to be driven by the stress of the cold water. So we create some focus with initially some slightly faster breathing, but then ultimately, which will blow off a little bit of CO2 as well, which then helps us slow down our breathing, and we work into some really light, some really slow extending exhales. Even humming is good for that. You combine that with a beautiful panoramic view, and then you've got the recipe for creating a parasympathetic sort of relaxation tone and response in the body. Take that with you into the cold. And you can think of it very simply, like inhales being more related to our sympathetic tone, exhales more related to our parasympathetic tone. So when we want to drive a little bit of focus and attention, we work a little bit on the inhales, and when we want to create that relaxation response, then we're looking at extending and working on our exhalations. And like Owen said, it's automatic, it's happening anyway. Like, so whether you're using it now, whether you're using it, the encouragement is to think about how we're breathing, just having awareness of it, like anytime, anytime, so that you can better control yourself and some of those automatic or some of those systems that are working on in the background.
Nice. Right,
let's do some.
Let's do it.
We're going to go for a little bit of breath to try and energize and get a focus. So we're going to use what Richie Bostock calls the Energizer Bunny, which is 3 short, sharp inhales built on top of each other. So there's inhales, remember, being related to that sympathetic tone, so we're up-regulating. We'll see some attention and awareness, be it in our focus, really coming inwards. It's good to do, if you can spend some time with your eyes closed when you're doing this, but it's also good to have a focal point and just see what happens to your field of vision when we go through. That's also we're going to be slightly over breathing, so it's going to blow off a little bit of CO2. Remember, CO2 is our brain stimulus to breathe. So the respiratory center in the brain is monitoring levels of carbon dioxide. We're going to blow a bit of that off as we go through sort of 1-2 minutes of this Energizer Bunny, where it's so 3 short, sharp bursts in, all inhales, so all about that sympathetic tone, and then a relaxed exhale. We do that for like a minute or two. When we're feeling good, and you'll notice that change in our focal point, we're then going to relax into some breathing light, which is where we try to slow down and lighten the breath. Try to make it silent, and if you want to, in terms of a cadence, work on 4 in, 6 out. That 6 seconds out gives us that extended exhale, which is going to help create that parasympathetic response. We'll still have a little bit of focus and attention. The breathing light will be easier initially because we've blown off some of that CO2, but then gradually, as that goes on for maybe another 1 or 2 minutes or so, you'll feel those blood gases starting to normalise. Oxygen and carbon dioxide will come back to normal. We'll feel good, we'll be ready, and it'll be like Right, get your clothes off, just your pants. You're getting that bad boy.
Tops off in the water. Right.
Yeah, so minute or so of 1, 2, 3 in, relax. 1, 2, 3 in, relax. So notice what's going on with your vision. It'll become a little bit tunnelled. Just stacking those inhales on top of each other. We're upregulating, telling the body something stressful's coming. Then pause and relax into light breathing. Having blown off some CO2, it's easy to keep the breath light. Should be easier to keep it silent. Enjoy that it's light, enjoy that it's silent. And try to extend the exhales a little bit. If you feel comfortable and able to, and it doesn't make it stressful, it stays relaxed. 4 seconds in and 6 seconds out. And gradually as things normalise, you'll notice that focus starts to build back out. Having a good field of view, panoramic view is good for parasympathetic tone. Feeling cool, calm, relaxed, light and slow and in control of our breath. You take that and go and see the geese, or the goose.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's rolling.
Rolling, 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 rolling.
Now the challenge is not getting too excited before going in, just because we get a bit overly excited. Try and take that. I've created a nice state with the breathing. Woo! Nice legs. Do they come in men's? So it is cold. It isn't icy, but it's definitely cold.
Hang on, what is it? the nice, smooth control. So what we're trying to do is take that breath work, that nice, calming and energising but focused work that we did on land, and just take that into the water.
It is hard when you've got those exciting pants.
Larry, aren't
Stay
they?
calm.
Aggressive, wax pants.
But the tip about this is one of Wim Hof's ones. Hands on the.
So I like to put my hands under my armpits because.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Is that what you do? Oh.
So the peripherals, like your fingers and your toes, are probably the hardest, but this isn't particularly cold. So I'm a big fan of the old fingers under the armpits. What's the other one?
Hands on thighs. Hands on thighs. I've always gone hands on thighs,
Hands on thighs.
just
So-
the main man wins.
We're just trying
That's
to be,
whatever he says.
yeah, he knows a bit more than us.
So the calming way to go
So
in.
a calming way, just thinking about taking that presence and that focus that we've had on land into the water, or you can walk your dog. But that nice focus, and then just merge with the water at one, and just be in a place that we can stand up, so that we're not having to worry too much about our footing, and just be or exist. The other option is
Option 2 is just where you dive in like an idiot, but it sort of gets it out of the way, and you get that. It's more like the shock treatment. It's more like the shock therapy. A bit like. But then get back to somewhere where you can touch the ground, so that you can, after the shock, it is a bit of a serious thing, after the shock, can you regulate back to normal? Is your hair alright? That's important. You don't look like an idiot when you're out here in your pants, do you? But then in all seriousness, you look at that. The light, slow breathing, regulate the breath, using just the nose. Because the nose is linked to your diaphragm. Slower breathing, which is more relaxing, calming. It's getting cold, to a degree. Oh, your teeth's just jittery. Look, hold on. Proof that it is cold. After 4 minutes,
just
got a bit
started
of teeth
to...
chattering. Yeah. I remember my first cold dip. It's not ready for that.
You're ready for this.
To prove I've now mastered this, I'm doing a wing. Right, Dundee. Good job.
Dun.
Dun. Well, the fun begins trying to get warm when you get out. That's the hardest bit. The hardest bit is not being in here. The hardest bit is when you get out on land and trying to stay warm.